It's 4 o'clock on a Wednesday. I had to think about it. And welcome to Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! And let's get this ball rolling. Thank you, fake audience. Thank you, fake band. Let's see who's in that chat room today. Hello, everybody. How are you? We've got Bob Gunnerfeld, Darren Moss, Jesse J. Peck, Darren Moss again, Nancy Colell, Jesse again. Where's everybody else? They haven't got the notice that we're live yet. I knocked my camera last night, and I noticed today it's got kind of a bluish cast, doesn't it? Maybe it's because I'm wearing this bright orange shirt. Don't know. Anyway, good to see you guys. Welcome to the big show. How are you? Let's see who else. Got John Pearson, got Spiritual, Dan Weber. The usual cast of characters. Hello, everybody. So, as soon as everybody shows up, I want to talk about something that Robert Orzechowski asked the other day in the comments. And I don't think we've gotten to this yet. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just getting old and forgot it. He asked, I was wondering if we could talk about the ways to get your song close to a listing without crossing the line of plagiarism. That's a good line never to cross. We could discuss things like tempo, instruments chosen, vocals, and the mixing and mastering. Any of these could take a show within itself. Well, let's hope so. Hello, Andre, Martin, how are you guys? Edmund. Having a hard time getting cozy with my table here. Actually, I think I'm going to cool it off a degree or two. These studio lights are killing me, I tell you. There we go. Yeah, notice how when I stand up, get out of the shot. Oh, didn't do it that time. Woo! I'm easily entertained, aren't I? Crossing the lines of plagiarism. Hello, Jim Stamper, Bill Rosso, Dave Merkel. Carrie Pavish Anderson, how are you? All the way from Alaska, ladies and gentlemen. At least last time I checked. Daryl Berman, Christopher Jones, Wind Chimes, Scott Hansen in the house. Yeah, baby. 0920 Music Library. That's interesting. All right. Ian Shortall, Lucian Lewis, Carrie still in Alaska, Giovanni Lanza, Mark Doyle. All right, good crew in the house today. So again, I want to read Robert Orzechowski's post the other day in the comments, although he's not here yet. Hey, Crash Gates. I don't want to wait because you know how people have been complaining that we spend too much time on the hellos and the howdies and just get right to the meat of it. But this is a hangout. Monday is the educational show. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, anything goes, and it's loose. Let's just say loose. Okay, so Orzechowski said the other day, I was wondering if we could talk maybe about the ways to get your song close to a listing without crossing the line of plagiarism. We could discuss things like tempo, instruments chosen, vocals, and the mixing and mastering. Any of these could take a show within itself. Thank you. You know, if you are heading in a direction where you are trying to avoid plagiarism, you're probably going in the wrong direction. I gotta say, it's an art and a science when trying to get close to the references or match what the listing has asked for. Hey, Cass. I would say it's more art than science. And there is no rule of thumb really that applies to all listings because instrumental listings are going to be a little different than a listing with a vocal. A listing for an artist looking for songs on a major record label is going to be different than a music supervisor looking for songs for a film. So I'm thinking that Mr. Orzechowski, hello Pierre, I'm thinking that he's talking more about the film and TV side. Who knows? Let's find out. He's still not in there. All right. Well, maybe he's taking a day off, or maybe he got the late notification. Hey, Paul Rickard, Kip Johnson. Take a swig of my Red Bull here. Okay. Anyway, so when you see a listing, and first thing you have to determine is read the listing like 3 times, and never ever submit something just because you see one thing in a listing. Let's say it's a Christmas listing, looking for Christmas songs for an upcoming independent film. And they mentioned, yeah, it can have some jingle bells in it. More often than not, they ask for stuff that's not very religious. I don't know that they are anti-religion. I don't know why that is. Maybe they just want it to be more universal and kind of generic. Usually they're asking for themes that are like, it's great to have the family all together. We're all warm and cozy sitting by the fireplace. So it's more about the emotion you feel at the Christmas time and during the holidays than it is necessarily about, yay, Christmas is here. Could be that way, but more often than not, it's not. So we actually get people that will see, yeah, you can have jingle bells, and they'll send a song in that is nothing but jingle bells. not the lyric to Jingle Bells, but actual jingle bells. It go, well, it said jingle bells. Well, yeah, it did say jingle bells, but it said you could have them in your song, not that your song should be entirely made up of jingle bells. So that's because they didn't read the listing very carefully. And where the art and the science comes into it is listen to the references, and more often than not, use them to triangulate the ballpark, the general stylistic ballpark, words that we use quite often in the listings. They're usually not looking for something that would make you go, oh, that sounds like Miss You by the Rolling Stones. Excuse me, there's that rock star burp. Yes, Cass just mentioned that he liked it, yes, Michael is rocking an Izod today. Love those alligator shirts. There's my alligator right over there. Anyway, so yeah, triangulate. Don't try and get something that sounds like Miss You, unless it says here's the exception that probably pops up most often, is when a music supervisor is looking to replace a song, they've already got something temped in. That means the film's director or the executive producer of the TV show probably has a certain affinity for that song. They've gotten used to hearing it in that slot. And even they're not dopey enough to ask for something that sounds, well, give me something that sounds pretty damn close to Miss You by the Rolling Stones. But they would appreciate something that has a similar vibe. There's another word that the industry uses a lot. I think that's let's use the word vibe so we don't get our butts sued. I can't believe you guys are commenting about my shirt. Oh, man. Do you know how hard it makes it to be like an educator when people are talking about your shirt? So where the hell was I? You guys threw me off my game here. I was so ready for this discussion today. Okay, so what does Miss You have in it? Yes, Orzechowski mentions let's talk about tempo. First of all, you can rip off the tempo all day long. There's nothing plagiaristic, if that's a word, about copying the tempo. And frankly, when you see the words, they're looking to replace the song Miss You by the Rolling Stones in this film, absolutely. match the tempo. Go ahead, shamelessly match the tempo, because there's a damn good chance that they've cut picture and the tempo of the song works to the cuts in the video or the action in the scene, and certainly works with the vibe and works with the pacing of the scene and all that stuff. So match the tempo, and that's a really good first start. Okay, what else does Miss You have? I think it's probably got, what, a Telecaster for the rhythm guitar? Throw a telly in there. Can you match the sound of the telly? Absolutely. It's got a harmonica, right? Throw some harmonica in there. It's got a harmonica, like a da-da-da-da-da-da. Doesn't that, the guitar and the harmonica do that together, if I'm correct? Oh my God, you guys! Right, it's got a disco bass line, and it's got a. So you could have those elements. None of those would be considered plagiarism. They would be in the stylistic ballpark. So you can have the same or very similar instrumentation. You could look at the song and go, okay, well, it's got a riff that is central to the song. So sure, come up with a riff, but don't make it like 3 notes different, thinking, wow, somebody's going to think this sounds like Miss You, but there's some different notes, so I'm not going to get sued. First of all, that ain't cool. Second of all, it'll probably still get you in trouble. It'll certainly raise eyeballs. And frankly, sometimes it can really hurt you because it is too close. And people get cold feet, even though they go, wow, this sounds so much like Miss You. It's a little too much like Miss You. Let's not go that way. Because not only does it put you up for, raising some eyebrows in the industry or with the publishers, even the audience isn't that stupid, right? People know, and when they hear something that's an obvious, let's see how close we can get without ripping it off stunt, the audience knows that. They feel that. And I don't think that they would, they're not going to love it, right? If anything, they'll probably have a little bit of a squeamish reaction to it. So, yep, the taxi doors are open. I did that after yesterday's show, hoping somebody would notice today. So then let's move on. Let's see, we've talked about tempo. We've talked about instruments chosen. Let's talk about the vocals. Well, obviously the vocals in Miss You. Do you want to try and sound like Mick Jagger? Probably not, but it's a male vocal. Would I go with a male vocal? Probably. Could you have a female vocal with an attitude like Mick Jagger? Probably. Unless they specify that they want a male vocal. But it's all about the attitude of the vocal. Should your vocal pacing, phrasing, and where you start phrases be similar to Miss You? I wouldn't personally go there. It not only shows a lack of originality in that you were trying to get really close to ripping something off, but not. Once again, everything you do that gets you close to cloning something, but doing it legally, without getting too close, it's disingenuous. The audience will feel it. The people making the decision on the music will feel it, I fear. Okay, Orzechowski's here. You're going to have to go back to the top and watch this one later, Robert, because I'm actually answering your question from the other day or a few days ago about talk about ways to get your song close to a listing without crossing the line of plagiarism. I've already discussed things like tempo, instruments chosen. We just finished talking about the vocals. So I don't want to repeat myself, sorry to say, but I did bring up your name like 4 times wondering where the heck you were. And let's get down. So instrumentation-wise, you've got some sort of disco bass line. but not something that sounds so similar that, again, it's disingenuous. Um, would I match if I were mixing it, would I try and match the relative levels of the bass and the kick drum? Yeah. Would I have, we've already talked about having similar instrumentation. It doesn't have to be identical. It's got to have the spirit and the vibe, but it doesn't have to be like, oh, it's got exactly that kind of guitar, it's got exactly that kind of bass. If you have all those things just with a different melody, it's going to seem disingenuous and it might get you in trouble. So when you're mixing, yes, again, you can get in the vibe. Nobody in the audience, not the producer, not the director, not the public, and not the Rolling Stones or the record label are going to complain if your mix has the same balanced relationships that the instruments in Miss You had, okay? And as far as the mastering goes, I don't think that really matters all that much unless your mix is really bad. And even mastering can't really save a bad mix. People think that mastering is like fairy dust. You put it on there and it magically makes it so much better. I love my crowd here. People show up like Pete Mason and apologize for being late. Dude, it's not a birthday. It's not a surprise party, but thank you. I appreciate the sentiment. John Pearson says, I tried to keep the spacing of the lyrics similar just because the creation of space may be something the supervisor is keying on. That's a good point. A song's got to breathe, not too wordy. Absolutely. Cosmic Dolphin was right. He's talking about Cosmic Dolphin on the forums. He suggested listening to a playlist with that type of genre required. Absolutely. More often than not. Not all the time, not 90% of the time, but I would say like 70% of the time. Best thing you could do is ask yourself this question. Would my song fit on a playlist that these other songs are on? Would my song appeal to the people that love the songs on this playlist? Would they go, oh yeah, that's really cool. Sounds like it should be in that playlist. Darren Moss, sorry I'm late. I brought a bottle of wine. Nice. We're still on the orange shirt. You guys are so funny. Yeah, I went back to the DMV this morning, so I wore the orange shirt so that if, in fact, I got my picture taken for my driver's license, I would stick out like a sore thumb on it. Lori Wynn says, I do a pretty good impression of Cher, Celine, Christina, Amy Winehouse. Does that make me wonder if being able to sing like them helps at all? It could. But again, it depends how many other elements are getting close to the song. If you're doing, if I could turn back the hands of time, whatever that song was called, that was Cher, right? Or Turn Back Time. And you tried to sing it like Cher and sounded pretty darn Cher-like. That's a problem. Again, it's about sounding or not sounding. You don't want to sound disingenuous. Like, oh, clearly they tried to copy that. Somebody brought up Moves Like Jagger earlier. Well, that was obviously made to sound like them because that was the story of the song. So it was a tip of the hat and a wink of the eye, and it was meant to be that way. Jay Williams, it's pandemic times. He's not wearing any pants. I am, actually. I'm wearing jeans and I've got shoes on. Do you know, I think I've only done one of these shows without shoes on. You thought I was going to say without pants, right? I've had pants on for every show. But yeah, I even wear shoes. Ariana taught me that, or she certainly reminded me of it when we started going remote during the lockdown, one day I had to video chat with Ariana about something. I said, "Look at you. You look very nice, all dressed for the office today." And she said, "Oh, yeah." And so she would wake up every day and put on her going to work clothes, even though she was working out of her bedroom or living room, kitchen, wherever at home, just because it made her feel like she was going to work. So I thought, that's a good idea. So I do it. Might I be sitting at this very spot tonight at 11:30 wearing a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt with holes all over it? Absolutely. Nope, not wearing my topsiders today. I've never shown you guys these shoes before. Check those dudes out. They've got these handy little tabs on here so you can pull them up. What do they say? I can't even read it. They're made in Tasmania. I forget what they're called. Oh, Blundstones. Those are Blundstones. I got them when I was in Israel. Yeah, wearing boots in the summer. You know why? They are rugged boots. Excuse me. And I wear these because they're the most comfortable shoes I've ever owned in my life. My feet are actually more comfortable in these shoes than they are not in these shoes. So I bought them in Israel. I've seen them for years. I've seen them in the United States, but not that frequently. I think I've seen them in Europe. I know some Aussie friends that have had them. And I always really liked them, but they only came in one brown color and a finish that I didn't really like. And when I was in Israel in mid-February, one of my daughters wearing a pair that she's beat the crap out of them. She's had them for like 5 or 6 years. And as beat up as they are, they're still in one piece and very functional. And I commented about them, and I think hers were like a kind of like a rusty brown suede-ish finish. And she said, "Oh yeah, they make them in different colors, different finishes now." So one day we were in a mall and I saw a store that had them on sale and I bought them. Took a day or two to get used to getting them on because of the elastic. You have to kind of turn them sideways, slide them on. Do they come with a pouch? Not that I remember. They came with some liners. They tend to run a smidge big, I believe. So they put some liners with an arch support in the box, and you can put those in there, and they make your feet feel even better. Anyway, I love them. They're just great. There's nothing I can't say about them. Are they gopher kickers? Oh, yeah, they're my gopher hunting shoes. Oh, was that a joke? Got it. No, that was actually Cass that said that. Do they come with a pouch? Because they're Australian. Now I get it. JP's on the Blundstones site now. I love them. Seriously, I'm thinking about buying a couple others in different finishes. I can't remember what I paid for them, but they were definitely like $30 cheaper than the normal price. And I remember looking at them on Amazon recently, and they were even a little pricier there. Now I just need... Yeah, there you go. Darren, do you have blunnies? Don't you guys call them blunnies in Australia? Or where are you at? You're in Australia, right? Buy a bunch for the rally. Wow, 200 to 245 on the site. Yeah, I think I want to say I paid like $183 for these, or $138, whatever they were. I went, whoa, that's the cheapest I've ever seen them. So I grabbed them right then and there, and as I got on the plane to fly back to the States, that was my only regret, well, other than leaving my daughters 8,000 miles away. Wow, they're $259 there? Wow, wow, wow. I got a steal on these dudes. My regret was that I didn't buy them in 2 other colors. Yeah, I'm not, I don't own a lot of shoes, and I don't spend a lot of money on shoes, but I've wanted these for easily 10, 12, 15 years. Get more forwards if you write while wearing those shoes. Seriously, I will keep these on my feet until like 11 o'clock tonight. They feel so good when you walk in them. you kind of, even when I'm standing still, sometimes I'll rock side to side and go, damn, those feel good on my feet. I've never said that about a pair of shoes. I do have a pair of Echo or Ecos, EECO, whatever they're called, or ECCOs, dress shoes with, but they're supposed to be super comfortable. Those are equally as comfortable, but I don't wear dress shoes with t-shirts and jeans. Man. Anyway, there you go. So, does that, well, Robert, you didn't catch the beginning of the show, but I hope I addressed that issue of how to give them what they're asking for. And again, if it's somebody that's looking to replace a song, you want more of those elements than not, but you don't want it to sound like, oh, they tried to copy, that song by the Rolling Stones. Look at how close they got. But yeah, probably didn't rip it off because the melody's different, the lyric is different. You just use your good judgment. But more often than not, for regular listings, certainly for library listings where they're not looking for a replacement song, I always recommend triangulating. Listen to the references, and more often than not now, the references come from the company that's giving us the listing. At least one of the references has come from them. Sometimes 2 or 3 of the references come from them. If they give us one reference, we will have a person go find other references and then have somebody else check the references that that person found to give you an extra layer of protection, making sure that you got good references. So there you go. Yeah, definitely the tempo. That's so important. Advertising. It's amazing. The years that I did audio post in New York City, probably 85% of the work I did was on big time advertising stuff. I mean, the J. Walter Thompson level ad agencies coming in with major products. And not unusual that I would work on maybe 3 of those in any given day. And it's amazing. They would finish the edit at 11 o'clock at night on a Monday and be in my studio to do the voiceover and lay in the music and sound effects at 9 a.m. the next morning. So they probably temped in a song. Oftentimes they would temp in a song, usually with the animatic. An animatic is kind of like a very slow moving, it's not like slow-mo, but it's like comic book art kind of. And it's basically like a storyboard, but it moves. So it's like, hi, Mom, I'm home from school. Hi, Johnny. It's that. And they will actually temp in music on the animatic because they want to get the whole vibe. And whoever is the creative director or the copywriter on the ad, well, Darren Moss knows this stuff, will generally lay in a voiceover. So they try and simulate what it's going to be like. And yeah, that stuff. Who was at JWT? No, I wasn't at JWT. I did a lot of work for JWT when I was a post mixer in New York. Hello, Rainey. Darren Moss does animatics, working on a few now. It's funny. I used to work on a fair number of Hertz commercials, Hertz Rent-A-Car, and it was back in the days of OJ running through the airport. And the animatics with OJ jumping over luggage carts and stuff were really, really funny. Oh, man. Yep, animated storyboards. That they are. All right, so any other topics you guys want to talk about today? Now that we've covered how close you can get, or how close how to best interpret what the listing is asking for, plus how close can you get. And we've covered animatics. See, there's a topic we've never ever covered, I don't believe, on any other Taxi TV or Quarantini Happy Hour. And we've covered the color of my shirt, the alligator. So how do you watch the chat room feed, watch the squirrels in the yard, and keep a cohesive conversation at the same time? It really takes a lot of skill, John. I've been practicing now for about 80 days, I believe. Um, yeah, see, there's me looking at the squirrels. There's me looking at you. There's me looking at my sound effects. Yeah, baby. Um, can I get the person you mentioned who knows about radio formats on the show? I can ask him. Um, I just found out from Liz yesterday he's no longer the program director at 88.5. I do have his cell number, and we're friendly. I haven't talked to him. Well, actually, I talked to him however long ago Liz got hired, because he called me and said, hey, my son's resume is in the pile. Can you make sure he gets an interview? And I actually don't control that stuff, so I asked my wife and Angel if they would kindly interview him, and they did. But Liz got the job. Yay, Liz. Wow, it's almost been a year already? That's amazing. That flew well, considering how long have we been quarantined? March 20th to April, May, June, July, August. So there you go. 5 months already. Honestly, when we got quarantined and told that we couldn't, hang out in our office, I think we stuck around for an extra day just to develop a plan on how we were going to work together, and then we bugged out. It's either Thursday or Friday, can't remember now, and I thought it'd be for 2 or 3 weeks. Boy, was I wrong. Uh, do I have Peter Asher as a contact? I do not. Um, I like Peter Asher. I'm old enough to remember Peter and Gordon. And I love the work he did on the Linda Ronstadt records, but honestly, with that rhythm section, you could have had, Humpty Dumpty producing those records, I think. JP is. Oh, that's right. I started this discussion yesterday, didn't I? With the. Thank you for reminding me. Yesterday we surveyed how many of you were doing. Was it yesterday? I think it was. Surveyed how many of you guys are doing instrumentals versus songs, and then how many people were doing songs pitching to artists on labels. Remind me in a minute. I've got a great. Didn't I tell you my Andrew Gold story already? Maybe I'll repeat that one like I repeat everything. So let's everybody blurt out your genres. I'm curious to see everybody who does songs blurt out your genres, and then we'll go to instrumentals in a minute. Yeah, the squirrels seem to have gone away. I haven't seen any squirrels in a few days. I don't know how many quarantinis I've done. I remember it was 60 something a couple weeks ago. Okay, so here we go. Whoa. Whoa, they're flying in. A little worried about this, the road route. I'm going to have Bria, I'm going to fly her out and have her sit with me during the road rally, just mainly to moderate the chat or let me know what's going on. And she's going to have to, good thing she's got faster reflexes than I do. Where was we? Where is we now? Okay, I write electronica mostly from Jay Williams. Scott Hansen does klezmerin. Spiritual does hip hop. Chuck Sadowski does R&B. Darren Moss does pop rock. Robert Orzechowski does pop rock. Well, then you guys should collaborate. Crash Gates does indie. Robert Martin does +1. I don't know that genre. Whoa. There we go. Dan Weber does funky porn music. Wah, wah, wah. Oh, I've got one of those. Where is it? Yeah. When a piece is returned with observation, the sentence I'd like to hear again. The sentence I would like to hear again after having worked on it is just something said for fun. The request is expired from 1 month. I don't understand that question. I know the ballpark you're in, Giovanni, but I don't really understand the question. Ian Shortall does pop, AC, and country. Dave Merkel does pop rock, jazz, and ballads. Wow, that's a spread. Carrie Pavish Anderson does adult contemporary, CCM, soul, and pop. John Pearson does indie rock, indie pop, blues rock, used to do country, and then got wise. Joseph Alonso does pop, Marion Laird does country folk and neoclassical. Daryl Berman does indie. Patrick Adams does country. I would think Patrick Adams does patriotic music, or is that just me? Ballads isn't really a genre. Maybe it is now, LOL. Pierre Venio does jazz, Latin, world beat. Pierre, I actually know what you look like now. I was looking at the July newsletter at taxi.com/news or /transmitter, whatever it is. And there was your face and members that got deals last month. Rennie does blues, jazz, rock instrumentals. Jesse does country rock, and southern rock. 38 special, woo! Heidi Owen does country and AC. Andre does world, jazz rock, fusion, classical, no country. Oh, man without a country. Christopher Jones, whoa, all of a sudden they just jump and stuff flies off of my page. Where did I leave off? There we go. Christopher Jones, singer, songwriter, indie rock. Rennie does anything rhythmic. Robert Martin does singer-songwriter. Daryl Berman does jazz. Dan Weber, hard rock, working on others. Daryl Berman is back again with singer-songwriter. Paul Rickard, bluesy rock, folk, leaning in songwriting. Folk, leaning in songwriting. I don't know what that means. Ambient and electronic instrumental. And there's Daryl Berman again with funk. Rennie Bear does music for media. Marion Laird does Christian, world, and Celtic. Rennie wrote a lot of local jingles. Paul Rickard, can't hear the sound effects. Did you other guys, here, can you guys hear this music? Let me know if you could hear that music, because that's coming out of the same thing that sound effects are. Got the fader up. I'm seeing it on the meter over on my computer, so it's making it from there. Cass McKenty does caveman backbeats. Nice. I love that genre. Ocean's Over does singer-songwriter, but also doing some electronica and background stuff lately. Paul Rickard, do you write light or dark? Ambient. I'm going to take one to go to sleep. No, I'm off the ambient. Used to take that for years. No longer take that. Robert Orzechowski does a cappella. A cappella is a word that doesn't show up in my spell checker on Word, oddly enough. This is good for the archive quarantine happy hour. Some of us may want to collaborate. Now we have an idea of who does what. There you go. Right, Giovanni. Yeah, if you submit something and the screener gives you advice, we don't start screening generally. Most of the time, we start screening the day of the deadline or the day after the deadline. If it's a particularly big listing with a lot of stuff comes in, we may start a day or two before the deadline. But once we start screening, there's just not enough timeline left on the back end. And honestly, the industry gets the music before you guys get the notifications. People have mentioned in the chat room before that, oh yeah, I was notified by the library that they wanted to sign me, excuse me, before Taxi let me know. That's because our responsibility to both you and them is to get them the music in a timely fashion. So you guys may have to wait a day until after they've been shipped the music. Those were air quotes, really bad air quotes, more like... So we send them the music, and then we go back and take care of you guys, let you know that if you've been forwarded or not. And we do everything in batches, so we don't do one at a time like, oh, we just screened Giovanni's song, let's give him a forward, and let's notify him, because of the quality control process and the batching and all that other good stuff. Let's see. Doc Middleton does singer-songwriter. Marion Laird does Latin. Marion Laird thought she did singer-songwriter, but Robin Frederick set her straight. Paul Rickard tends to tilt darker. Don't give him a knife. I don't know what everybody's saying no to. Oh well. I don't really need to know, do I? Oh, none of you guys can hear the music. Well, that's interesting. Really interesting. It's showing up on the meters. Well, let's do a little test here. Oh, so all those times I thought I was being funny, I wasn't. That's really interesting. I've got it showing up on the meter, but it's not making it very interesting. Not making it over to that meter, which is my output meter, like my mix bus meter for the show. All right, well, there's a problem to solve. No biggie. It is plugged in, isn't it? Oh, you know what? It may not be. Or is it? Yeah, it is plugged in. That's weird. Very, very weird. All right. So all those times I was hysterically laughing on the inside, you guys were not laughing with me. That's really funny. I will have to suss that out after the show today. Michael, Darren has a good suggestion. Maybe Friday playing member songs. We can support each other. You like that, alligator, huh? All right. So here's what you do. Anybody who's watching the show today, this is open to anybody in the chat room today. Email a link. Now here's the deal. People always get this wrong, so please don't get it wrong. Send taxitv@taxi.com. That's taxitv@taxi.com. Send an email with a link to the song where it can be streamed and downloaded. Do not send an MP3 attached to an email, because Liz, I am asking you, don't even dare to download those, because we don't want any viruses, and neither does Liz. That's right, you're working on a home or no, you're actually at the office. Yeah, so don't download any stuff that comes in. You got to send her a link where it can be streamed and downloaded. So you could send her to your taxi member profile. Make sure that your music is marked public so that we know that you're cool. Marked public on your taxi profile. It's probably the best thing to do. And then Liz can pick, like, I would say 12 to 15 of those and throw them on a disco and send me the disco, and I will play them on the show for Friday. How's that sound? Instrumentals or songs. And do me a favor, in the email, please put one sentence in the body copy of the email that just simply says, you have my permission to play my song or my instrumental named XYZ123 on an episode of Taxi TV. Liz is probably going, oh, damn, that's a half a day's worth of work. I'm sorry, Liz. Got to keep the audience happy. They've been asking for this for weeks. Wow, 4:46 already. You know, I could just look at the clock in my video and know that, but no, I've got to look at the clock on my computer. So what else? It's so weird that you can't hear that music. Weird, weird, weird. Be funny if it shows up on the playback. I don't want to repeat myself, Scott Hansen. I'm famous for repeating myself. Aaron Northern. Let's see. I got a couple of instrumentals that usually get forwards, had both returned on a listing that had the exact same requirements as the other listings. Told to make several changes. How do I interpret that? Honestly, without reading the listings and without seeing what the returns said, I couldn't tell you. It would only be guesswork, and guessing doesn't work. But you can email headscreener@taxi.com and say what you said here, send links to the instrumentals and the listings and the screener's critiques, and we've actually got a person that will review that. I would say 95 to 98% of the time when we go through this process, we look at it and go, oh, well, there's the reason why. And it could be literally one sentence. I'm telling you, members don't read listings. I'm not pointing a finger at you there, Aaron, but oftentimes members will see things that pop out in a listing and go, I got it, I got it, I got it. But they miss that one thing that's also part of the formula. So could be that, but I'm only guessing. Cass says, if we have to listen all the way through the tunes without a listing or vetting them, I'll pass. Sorry. Are you talking about the Friday thing, the listening? You know, that's, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. Where did you go? Wow. A lot of activity in the chat today. Okay, so it's tough. When you just open the door wide for people to send in stuff and we don't vet it, sometimes it can be a little embarrassing, and I don't mean that people suck or they're bad, but they may be very early in their process and they're doing the level best they can at that point in time, and they're very proud of it. But by comparison to the other stuff, it sounds weak. And without reading a bio before every person to say, you know, Jenny just started making music 2 months ago. This is her first attempt at writing a song. You just go, whoa, that's not very good. So it can be a little embarrassing. All right, Edmund's reminding me is the story I want to tell about, the genres, but didn't tell us the story. I thought I was supposed to tell you an Andrew Gold story. boy, I've got all these different requests. Crash Gates wants to know more about song camps, not sound camps, song camps. Darren Moss, what's the most common genre taxi writers write in versus what is the most common genre requested by music companies? Is it the same genre? Singer-songwriter, adult contemporary, Christian, and country are the things that we most often hear from members, like, why don't you have more listings like that? Unfortunately, singer-songwriter, Christian, country, and whatever else the other one I mentioned are not requested nearly as often. We actually have a decent number of those things. Actually, this year, a really good number of them, but never as many as we have for like hip hop and current, what I call radio pop or top 40 pop. The reason for that is they want stuff that sounds like today in TV shows and movies and commercials. More often than not. There are always exceptions to everything, but the general rule of thumb is they want music that's relatable to what people are hearing on the radio and or on Spotify playlists. So that's what they want. Now, there are exceptions, of course. They may want a singer-songwriter thing for a TV commercial because, you know, like a Subaru commercial would probably use singer-songwriter kind of stuff rather than hip-hop. Just saying. So there are always exceptions to everything. But I know that our members, if we ran nothing, we joke about this at the office in a very sincere and loving way, but we say, man, if all we did was run singer-songwriter, country, Christian, and adult contemporary listings, we would probably have 400% more submissions and probably double the membership. So if we were like the other companies out there, we would just make those up and put them out there because money would matter more than putting real listings out there. But we don't do that. Some other people might. Robert Martin says, a question. I have some music in an independent film for which I own all the rights. The film is on Amazon Prime. What are your thoughts about submitting music to Taxi from that film? Would a music suit bulk? No. You know, there are varying degrees of answers to that, but generally speaking, no. There are some music supervisors, somebody working on a big blockbuster feature film might not want something that's been out in another film. If the film is on Amazon Prime, but it didn't do very well, then they're not going to worry about it. But, you know, with the exception of like putting a Rolling Stone song in or something like that, they generally want stuff that's fresh, that is not heard elsewhere. Same thing in advertising. But again, there are always exceptions because now people are going to say, well, I heard a song in this commercial and I also heard it in that movie. There are exceptions. I'm talking rule of thumb. Okay, Andrew Gold reminder. Do you guys remember me telling you the Andrew Gold story already? I need to look up what the Andrew Gold hits were so I can get this right. Oh, man. The hour is almost over. Okay. The song... So, for many years, I would go to Nashville like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times in a year. And I always stayed at the Lowe's Vanderbilt on West End Avenue. As a matter of fact, I once fell out, the back broke off a chair and dropped me on my head on the floor. And I got a back injury from it and through the process of that incident, met the general manager and he and I hit it off. And his assistant said to me, actually he said to me, the GM said, from now on, every time you come to Nashville, call my assistant personally and she will upgrade you to the nicest room that we have available that night. I feel really bad that this happened and thank you for not suing us. So I did for many years. I would call his assistant, and actually, one time they hit a particular room that I really liked. It wasn't necessarily the biggest or fanciest room, but I liked the location of it, and I just felt at home in that room. So I probably 90% of the time for all the subsequent years, I stayed in that same room and really appreciated that and really liked that hotel. So I got invited to go to the NSAI like Hall of Fame thing that they do at the Grand Ole Opry. Okay, and I'd been in the building before, but I'd never seen a show there. And two of the people that were being honored that night were songwriters Graham Gould, who's from the UK, and Andrew Gold from the United States. Andrew Gold, of course, being that guy with the red hair and the beard, often had on his like white or silver top hat and his suit and his cane on one of his album covers. He played on all the Linda Ronstadt stuff, did the guitar solo, like that harmony guitar solo on When Will I Be Loved, was a really strong songwriter, guitar player, and producer, and artist in his own right. And he had a song called Thank You for Being a Friend. That was the theme song for the Golden Girls. Am I right? Okay, so I pull into the hotel, the hotel on West End Avenue, the Lowe's Vanderbilt, and I see a sign on the little driveway going up to the front door of the hotel, and it says, "Thank you." It's about this big. It's like 18 inches across, and it says, "Thank you for being a friend, Andrew Gold." And I'd seen the sign dozens of times before. I didn't think much about it. I dropped off my car. I go up to my room. I check in, do my thing, get ready for the big show that night. And as I get in the elevator, there's this chubby person. And I thought to myself, he looks really familiar. It was Andrew Gold, but I didn't recognize him because he'd put on so much weight. I think I remembered him from the drug-abusing late 70s when everybody was skinny because they didn't have an appetite. Anyway, so I rode down the elevator with him. He just looked familiar, but I didn't know who it was. I get to the show that night, and I got a really good seat. I'm like in the 6th row in the center, and I could very clearly see the faces up on stage. And all of a sudden, they say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Andrew Gold and Graham Gould." And the guys walk out, and they do their thing. And I went, "Oh my gosh, that's the guy that I rode down the elevator with." So first thing he says on microphone that night is, "I'm staying at the Lowe's Vanderbilt. And when you pull into the hotel, there's a sign that's got a quote from one of my lyrics right in the driveway. Do you think I got a discount on my room? Hell no." Anyway, I thought that was funny. So there you go. There's my big story for the day. We got 1 minute left. Man, so I'm pressing the laughter button and you guys aren't hearing it. So you're actually laughing for real. I don't have to fake the laughter. That's awesome. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, and yeah, Graham Gould was in 10cc, I believe. And the two of them wrote together. They were very good friends, and they wrote all the time. And they were magical, man. Those guys were song crafting geniuses. Just amazing. Some of the stuff they did that night on stage was just, I loved it. I'm always a huge fan of Andrew Gold. And then Andrew Gold recently passed away. Let's find out. Wow. Oh, no, years active, 2011. Oh, he died in 2011. Wow, I can't believe it was 9 years ago already. Um, Yeah, Lonely Boy was his song. Thank You for Being a Friend. Never Let Her Slip Away was a top 5 hit in the UK. He was in a band called Wax with 10 cc's. Graham Gouldman, not Gould. 1990s, he produced, composed, performed, and wrote tracks for films, commercials, television soundtracks, such as The Final Frontier, which was the theme song on Mad About You. Thank You for Being a Friend was used as the opening theme for Golden Girls, and the children's novelty song Spooky Scary Skeletons became an internet meme in the 2010s. Wow, he died at 59 years old from kidney cancer. Sorry to hear that, Andrew Gold. He was so talented. Oh, that's right. He was in Brindle. Huh. Anyway, yeah, if you ever want to hear some great music from that era, Google Andrew Gold and go back and listen to his stuff. Where can I find info on Road Rally 2020? The newsletter that is coming out in probably 2 more days, the taxi newsletter. Watch your email box for that. We'll have more information, but the rally is a virtual rally on November 6th, 7th, and 8th. I am very likely doing what I'm going to call prequels, which are some breakout classes that will take the place for a week or so prior to the road rally in this quarantine time slot. And that's that. So there we are. We're at 5:02. It's time to bug out. See you guys tomorrow, which will be Thursday. And remember, yes, send your stuff. Oh, and you've got to get it in Liz's hands by 10 a.m. Pacific time. Please don't send it later than that, because it's a chore to put all this stuff together. And it's not like the only job she has is moderating this chat room. No, not taximusic@taxi.com. Do not put false information up. It's taxitv at taxi.com. Taxitv at taxi.com. And get it into Liz's hands by 10 a.m. Friday. And don't send it at 10:01 or 10:15 and say, oh, my dog ate my homework. Please don't do that. It's really, really a chore to put that stuff together, to listen to it. Make sure it's got a streaming link where you can just hit play and play it, and then a download link. And if it doesn't, we're not going to reach out to you and take the time. Hey, by the way, you're going to be pissed off, but you know what? We just don't have time in the day to hold hands and babysit people that don't follow instructions. I'm sorry to say. So make sure you get it right. It's got to have a streaming link and be at a place where we can download it as well. And a disclaimer that says, you have my permission to play my music on Taxi TV. So there you go. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow for more fun and games. If you have any additional ideas for shows or topics, please, after you stop in on the archive or right now, hit the thumbs up, give us a like, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber so you get the alerts. Hit that little alert bell up at the top of your screen. And I think that's it, right? Like us, subscribe us, hit the alert bell, and drop comments in the comment area of the archive if you have any ideas for shows or topics. With that, I bid you, and the band bids you, a very, very fond farewell. Bye, you guys.